It's the Ross Tucker Football Podcast.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It is a Wisdom Wednesday presented, of course, by DraftKings. I'm Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman, 5 teams, 7 years. Most of you know this already. This show, the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, is daily, Monday through Friday. Once week 1 of the NFL season comes around, all the way through the Super Bowl in the quote-unquote off-season, or at least non-regular season. We give you 3 of these a week, but there's plenty of other shows to fill the void. Mondays, we do the college draft, which is all about the top college prospects and college football and the NFL draft. Tuesdays, we do Even Money, which is one of the 5 best NFL football betting podcasts in the galaxy. Wednesday, Fantasy Feast. So you have plenty of others to catch up on if for whatever reason you still need something daily. We got something for you daily. Andrew Brandt even does the Business of Sports podcast as well. Really looking forward to you guys getting a chance to hear this conversation I had with Shaun King, former NFL quarterback. I actually had him on to talk about Sam Howell and some of the other quarterbacks a month or 2 ago. But we talked a lot, actually, about Shaun's coaching career, which I found fascinating because as a former player, I've always thought about coaching, and he pretty much, in my mind, confirmed both the pros and cons, the positives and negatives of coaching. Talking with him. Before we get to that, though, I got to make sure you guys know about my first draft pick. Speaking of the college draft, it's Max. Max has the best entertainment for whatever mood I'm in or my fam. Maybe it's drama. Maybe it's my go-to. I know people love superhero movies like Batman or Shazam. Some people, like my wife, like home renovation, like Fixer Upper, Welcome Home, or Hometown. I'm more of a comedy guy. HBO original Curb Your Enthusiasm, Big Bang Theory. If I'm with the whole crew, how about Max original Sesame Street or the new Max original Gremlins, Secrets of the Mogwai? Don't wait to pick the best of streaming entertainment. Max, with something for every mood I'm in anytime. It's always a win, and plans start as little as $9.99 a month. Max, the one to watch. Subscription required. Visit max.com. It's Big Show time.
The Big Show.
As promised, we are joined now by one of my favorite people that I've ever worked with in the media. I'm telling you, man, there was like a 5-year period there where this guy and I were together 70 nights a year up in Stamford, Connecticut on Pro Football Talk and various NBC Sports Network shows. We did such a good job, the NBC Sports Network doesn't even exist anymore. He went on to get into coaching after we were no longer on that show, and now he's got an awesome show, man. It's VSiN Live Prime Time, 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time on VSiN, which, by the way, is part of the DraftKings family, like my shows are. Check him out on social media at Real Shaun King, SHAUN King. For those of you that don't remember, gosh, people are young now. What was the record, Shaun? Were you the first rookie to start an NFC Championship game, or they still say it sometimes when a rookie starts to have success in the playoffs. What's the deal there? I'm sure you know what it is.
Yeah, they dug it up from the grave with Brock Purdy. And it was a topic, because he was a rookie. He was playing for San Francisco. Of course, they had Super Bowl expectations. Fell a little short, but I was the first rookie quarterback to ever start a NFC Championship game. So the first to lead his team to that. And I learned during the actual Eagles-Niners game, I did not know this. I actually was the youngest of all of them because I think Brock Purdy made 5. I think it's me, Roethlisberger, I want to say Joe Flacco, Mark Sanchez, and I think Brock Purdy was the 5th. I was the first and the youngest.
Yeah, that sounds right to me. That's pretty cool, man. You're the first and you're the youngest. And dude, it's gonna be hard to beat the youngest.
It is, especially now with guys being able to play college football for a decade.
Yeah,
You get a
Purdy's
year.
like older than you are at this point.
Right, right.
I'm convinced that guy started at quarterback for Iowa State for 7 years. Every Iowa State game I watched the last 7 years, he was there. And I was like, of course he's good. I've seen him against Texas and Oklahoma. He's always good with Iowa State dudes around him. That is funny. So first rookie quarterback, first of all, you can never take away the first, ever.
True.
And then secondly, obviously being the youngest, that'll be tough to beat as well. I love it. So Shaun, after we were doing the NBC stuff, you got into coaching at University of South Florida, and I'm fascinated by this because you were media, coaching, media. Tell me about your experience. Like it, love it, hate it. Would you do it again? Which do you like better, coaching or media? What are the pros and cons? I'm fascinated by this because it feels like, to be honest with you, man, most of the guys I talk to, like Saturday or Dilfer, they love coaching, dude. Like they love it. They're like addicted to it. And I'm like, sounds like a lot of hours. Sounds like getting fired again. No, thank you.
Well, it's a complex answer because I don't think it's any way to be fair, objective, and give each aspect the justice it deserves. So let's just start with why I left. I was actually in San Francisco covering the Panthers Broncos Super Bowl. So this is Cam versus Peyton in his last game. And I get a call that week. I'm there for NBC Sports and for Yahoo. And I get a call from Willie Taggart, the head coach at University of South Florida at the time. And he says, listen, I have a young quarterback, Quentin Flowers. I really think you could help him take the next step. Would you please come be the quarterback coach here at South Florida? So I was born in St. Petersburg. I live in Tampa at the time, Ross. So it was an opportunity for me, like you said, 90 days, a year when we were at NBC. It's a lot to be away. So it was an opportunity for me to, first of all, I only went because it was the quarterbacks. Because when I look at coaching, and I want to put context on this as to why I'm back in the media, quarterback is my passion. Like that's where I feel like I'm different than a whole lot of guys coaching that position. Just with my past experiences, just with my understanding of psychologically what it takes to get a quarterback to an elite level, I just think I have a unique gift when it comes to that. So I left 2 reasons: to be closer to home more often, but also because it was the quarterbacks. And I helped Quentin Flowers win American Athletic Player of the Year.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
I did. And it was a loaded team. Now, we had Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who just won the Super Bowl with the Chiefs. We had Dearness Johnson, who backs up Nick Chubb in Cleveland. We had Mike Love, who's a backup defensive end for the Bills. Deidre Sanat, who's a backup defensive tackle for the Bucks. We were loaded. Now, we had Mitchell Wilcox, backup tight end for the Bengals. Like, we had dudes on that team. So it was just an opportunity. I got so much joy out of helping Quentin develop on and off the field, and culminating with him winning, American Athletic Player of the Year. So that was tremendous. So listen, I was like, okay, I made the right decision. I'm going to stay in coaching. And Ross, I got indoctrinated in coaching in a whole bunch of ways 6 months into it. Here I am. I get there in, I want to say I took that job maybe March or something like that. Because, I had to, properly leave Yahoo and NBC. I couldn't just, up and leave. We had shows we were doing. So I also was working contractually to make sure that everything was right. So we go 11-2, I think is what we went. And we beat South Carolina, the SEC South Carolina, in a bowl game in what I think was Will Muschamp's first year there at South Florida. They had at South Carolina, they had a great receiver named Deebo Samuel, by the way, who played in that game. So they were good. But Willie Taggart takes the Oregon head job not long after the Birmingham Bowl. So I'm in year one. I just left a profession to come and coach quarterbacks for Willie Taggart. The kid I'm coaching, Ross, wins Player of the Year in the conference. Willie Taggart goes to Oregon, decides that he needs someone with West Coast background from a recruiting standpoint, to come there and be the quarterbacks guy. See, I ultimately ended up hiring Marcus Arroyo instead of me, and I was stuck at South Florida, which is not necessarily a bad thing. So I haven't gotten into, okay, wow, I'll never go into coaching again. Charlie Strong gets fired at Texas. USF hires Charlie Strong. Charlie Strong comes to South Florida. He says, Shaun, you did a great job with Quentin. I want you to stay. I'm going to keep you on the staff as the quarterback coach. I say, okay, cool. I get to stay at quarterbacks. I get the reigning conference player of the year. And I got a room of guys that I love. Chris Oladokin was a kid I recruited my initial year there. He's one of the backups for the Chiefs now. So fast forward, all of a sudden about 2 weeks after this, Sterling Gilbert, I guess, decides that he's going to come to South Florida with Charlie. He gets there. He's the offensive coordinator. He decides that he wants to coach the quarterbacks, and I get moved to running backs. So I left a profession to go to coaching. The kid I'm coaching wins Conference Player of the Year in year one, and I get moved to running backs after the first year as a reward.
And you guys go 11-2, and your head coach gets a huge Power 5 job.
Yep. And so that, in a nutshell, is why that's the part of coaching that you can't control that makes you miserable. Because every year around December, January, you're worried about job security, and it really don't matter how good a job you did. Sometimes your coach gets fired. Sometimes he takes another job. Maybe the athletic department don't want to pay, what you feel like you've earned, like all kind of different reasons. So, that's very unnerving. Like in broadcasting, if you take a job and you're doing a show and you can see what the ratings are, what the engagement is, social, like there are definitely
metrics,
metrics that show you how successful you are. You're generally going to be good. You know what I mean? You don't really have to worry about it. You might, use your leverage to get a better spot or, some more years on your deal or a higher rate. But, you're not worried about NBC picking up and moving, to Fox, or Fox picking up and moving to NBC and not bringing you. So a lot more peace of mind in broadcasting, to sum that up in a nutshell. So that was my first 12 months in the business.
Okay, so you did it for 3 more years, and then you got out of it. And would you ever do it again or no?
Only if it was at quarterbacks. And I have to have a clause in the contract that says, if you move me from quarterbacks, like, you still got to pay me, but I don't have to come to work. Because that's what I want to. That's what I want to do. And so much is made. Not to completely go. Left right here, but I do think it's pertinent to what we're talking about. We started this by saying that I was the first rookie quarterback in the history of the National Football League. That's a long time, Ross. That's a real long time to lead his team or help his team get to an NFC Championship game. It comes out this year that I also was the youngest. Now, my year as a quarterback coach, the kid I coached was Conference Player of the Year, the only year he ever won it, by the way. And yet, I could not get a quarterback coaching job anywhere. Like I went to the conventions, I did everything possible. And then when you look at it, the NFL has a head coach and minority hiring issue. It's been well publicized, well talked about. I think also something that permeates all levels of football, from college and pro, is the lack of minority representation at the quarterback coach position. And I played with Josh McCown. I'm a big Josh McCown fan, and I'm happy he got the job in Carolina, and I hope he does a great job. But, I couldn't even get a college quarterback coaching job anywhere. Everybody was just running backs. All the offensive coordinators, they want to coach the quarterbacks, and ultimately they end up having some young guy in the room because they can't do both. So the quarterbacks really, all they're doing is learning the system. They're not developing. And it was interesting. It was interesting, man. I learned a lot. I will say this though: the part that's great about it, Ross, is helping the kids. I mean, helping the kids, through their ups and downs, like really being there as a mentor. Also helping them, just understand the psychology of being a great football player, and that's handling success as much as it is handling failure. Everybody thinks like you got to have a way to cope with failure. Hell, success, a lot of times does more detriment, because it breeds complacency, it bleeds overconfidence.
I coach totally different, but I coach my daughters. I'm the head coach of their softball team. And by the way, I stunk at baseball. I was not good, but I'm the head coach of their softball team. And let me just tell you, I mean, I really do it just to be around my daughters because, during football season from August till the Super Bowl, I'm going like every weekend. I'm doing college games, doing NFL games, whatever. But let me just tell you, man, when one of the girls who it's their first year playing, or maybe they're not exactly going to be a high school superstar, if you catch my drift, when they do something positive, like they make it out or they get a hit, and I see that smile on their face, there's nothing better. There's not.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's like a drug. It's unbelievable. It gets me so happy and so excited because you and I worked hard for sure, but also a decent amount of it came naturally. Like, I can remember dodgeball in first grade. Like right away, I was the one pegging all the kids that weren't strong, and it was
right.
You know what I mean? Like it was very obvious. I think that's why they have dodgeball in school, just to like establish right away, okay, these are the strong kids. They should not do that. I mean, they should wait at least a couple of years. It's a whole other story. But it's just a great feeling. It's funny, man. I wanted to ask you about coaching. I didn't know it would be most of the interview, but I'm glad because I'm interested in that. And I always feel like this, like, I can ask you, and I can get you on again to ask you about Deshaun Watson, some of these guys or whatever. But I always feel like if I am genuinely curious and interested, then my listeners will be too. I mean, none of them are going to like get into coaching probably. But there's a million people out there that talk about what they think of these quarterbacks, the prospects, or whatever. To have someone like you actually explain the negative of coaching, and you're 1,000% right. The reason I think there aren't as many black head coaches in the NFL or college football is because of what you just said. There's not a ton that are coaching quarterbacks. For the most part, it's quarterback coaches. Then they become like Mike Kafka or whatever, offensive coordinator somewhere. They have success there, and they become a head coach. Bieniemy had to go to Washington now to show that it's him that's having the success and not just Andy Reid. And that's a whole other conversation. But I'm glad to talk to you about that because there is no way you should not have been hired. Really, I mean, after the Quentin Flowers thing with your experience, you should have gotten a chance as an NFL, quarterback coach. Man, it's crazy, isn't it, to hear just what it's like to be a coach as a former player like Shaun, and you switch positions, the success he had, and then he still has to move. I mean, it's just, it's the uncontrollables that would really bother me about that industry. Thankfully, you can control the things in your house. Like I controlled our upstairs bathrooms by replacing 2 showers earlier this year. Absolutely fantastic. I cannot possibly recommend the company more highly than West Shore Home. And you can see for yourself what they did at my house, westshorehome.com/Ross. I know a lot of you still probably don't know what to do for Father's Day. How about westshorehome.com/Ross? You can see my entire project, pictures and videos, and you can schedule a free estimate. When you do that, you'll qualify for free installation for a limited time. Go to westshorehome.com/Ross today to lock in this amazing offer. And for those of you that don't listen to Fantasy Feast podcast, keep in mind, all you need to do to be in the best ball draft at DraftKings against me and Joe Dolan. You're going against us. It's a live draft. Is to qualify is to get the free estimate. westshorehome.com/Ross. Send it to me, ross@rosstucker.com. westshorehome.com/Ross. I'm taking you down.
Tuck's Takes.
All right, Ross. A lot of news to get to today. First, Vikings defensive end Danielle Hunter is skipping mandatory minicamp, even though he is under contract.
Feels like a lot's going on with the Vikings, doesn't it, Jack? I mean, this is a team that won 13 games last year, hosted a home playoff game, and yet you had this Adarius Smith situation. He's in Cleveland now. They're having issues with Danielle Hunter. They cut Dalvin Cook. Feels like they're sort of trying to rebuild, reload. I don't know, but it certainly doesn't feel like they're going to be a better team than they were last year. Hunter had a really good season for the Vikings last year. He's an excellent player. He signed, and this is his fault, a way below market deal a while ago, like years ago. And he's kind of been an uphill battle ever since, which, I never mind when guys get the money early to get that life-altering money, but you have to understand then a lot of people are going to pass you up. He's doing everything he can at this point to try to find a way to get the Vikings to give him more money. We'll see whether or not they do.
One that might be even more surprising, Bills wide receiver Stephon Diggs did not participate in minicamp on Tuesday, despite reporting on Monday it's not reportedly football or contract related.
Right, and Jack and I are actually recording this Tuesday evening, I guess. I don't really know what to say about this one, Jack. I mean, I will say this. Stephon Diggs was not happy in Minnesota at one point, which is why he got traded to Buffalo. Now he's not happy in Buffalo. He's making a ton of money, got a top 5 quarterback. He's on a Super Bowl contending team. I don't know. If you guys know what he's upset about now, feel free to hit me up on social media at Ross Tucker NFL or us at Ross Tucker Pod, because I'm not exactly sure.
And another big minicamp news, Saquon Barkley is also not attending the minicamp with his team.
Right, but that's totally different situation because they put the franchise tag on him, but he's not under contract. So like Hunter and Stephon Diggs, those guys, they can be fined. Their team can fine them for skipping the minicamp practices. That is not the case with Saquon Barkley. He's not under contract with the Giants. He's not a member of the Giants. If he wants, he can drive down here to South Jersey and take things to the next level with me, drink some Labatt Blue Lights with me, his new friend, and live life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York.
So some actual transactions, the Patriots cut former Jags rookie sensation James Robinson, the running back, and the Jets brought in a safety, Adrian Amos.
So the James Robinson thing is just kind of sad because he had an awesome rookie year for the Jags. I think he was an undrafted rookie free agent out of like Illinois State. Just an awesome story. And it's kind of gone the wrong way ever since then. He had that torn Achilles. They drafted ETN. Hasn't been real good. And it's a shame. It really is, because he's never going to really capitalize on the money he could have earned based on that first year. And Adrian Amos hasn't missed a start in 5 years. Maybe not as good in coverage as some people would like their safety to be, but just kind of a rock solid veteran. I can see exactly why the Jets wanted to bring him into the fold. My guess is, I think I saw where it's up to $4 million. Let's see how down to it is.
Some other news, the Texans are inducting J.J. Watt into their Ring of Honor against his brother's Steelers. The Bucks are bringing back their cream school throwback uniforms against the Lions in Week 6. And the Browns are unveiling a new dog logo.
Well, I think all those are just awesome. I mean, J.J. Watt, obviously it's much deserved, and I think that's awesome. He gets to do it in front of his brother, right? That's fantastic. The creamsicles, I know, Jack, you're a uniform guy. Everybody, I don't know anybody that doesn't like the creamsicles, although nobody really liked them when they had them originally. Now everybody loves them. That's always an interesting situation. Orange creamsicle, delicious, by the way. And I don't even remember the last thing you said. It wasn't that important. What is important is that on Thursday, we'll have Greg Cosell. I think we're done here.
Thanks for listening to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also subscribe to the Fantasy Feast, Even Money, Business of Sports, and College Draft. All available at Apple Podcasts, rosstucker.com, or wherever podcasts can be found.
How about some shout outs for Pizza Boy Brewing, Sporticulture, HumanHeadNYC.com, SteakhouseSports.com, Go-Bangles.com, Evergreen Economics, BackOfficeSchedule.com, and it is absolutely not too late to get the best Father's Day gift ever for any of the father figures in your life, MyFrontPageStory.com.